You know, the actual founder of the FBI was not Mr. Hoover. All the history books were given to Hoover. Now, and I said to Washington, you're wrong. Mr. Hoover was not the founder of the FBI. It was Charles Joseph Bonaparte. At the beginning of the century, Teddy Roosevelt was made Vice President of the United States. McKinley was assassinated in 1901. Automatically, Teddy Roosevelt became the president. And the first thing he did was he called on Charles Joseph Bonaparte, a law student of Harvard. They were together. He said, Charlie, I need help. There was a lot of corruption in the country, a lot of corruption. So Teddy Roosevelt said, Charlie, how do we do it? He said, we have to establish an agency to investigate crime. So he established the agency that we know today, the FBI. That's the beginning. So many people never knew about this gentleman. So when I went to Washington, I said, Bonaparte is actually one of the greatest Americans of the century. He was able to fight corruption in the government. He broke all the monopoly, but he got lost. When he died, it was forgotten. So when I went to Washington, I said, here's a man who really should be an example to the United States. So when I proved my documentation, John Kennedy at the time was the president. Now he called his brother, Robert, who was the Attorney General, and said, Bob, I have John LaCour here. He says that Hoover was not the founder of the United States, was Bonaparte. He never knew Bonaparte. And so when I went there with the documentation, LaCour is right.
But he wanted to meet Attorney General Kennedy. I said, fine, I'll see what I could do to arrange it, and indeed it was arranged. On the occasion when John came to Washington, we got to Attorney General Robert Kennedy's office. He had been called away by the president. And as I entered the office, Angie Novella said, Dr. A, I'm so sorry, but the general was called away by the president. He's at the White House. But that's all right. I've had Deputy Attorney General Byron White, who's going to greet Mr. LaCour. This Byron White, as you know, is the present Justice White of the United States Supreme Court, and he was then Deputy Attorney General. I introduced Mr. LaCour. John LaCour listened very kindly, and he said nothing at all. And when the meeting was all over and we established the June 22nd, 1961 date for the ceremony, just before leaving, Mr. LaCour said, Mr. White, I don't mind meeting you, but for the ceremony, I want no substitutes. Well, as I died on the spot, Mr. White turned to John LaCour and said, no, I can assure you that the Attorney General said he will be personally present for the function. By the way, Mr. LaCour, do you mind if I come as well? And then he turned to me and he said, well, Ed, nothing like knowing where you stand.
So we changed the history books and we put up a monument in honor of Charles J. Bonaparte right at the main entrance of the Department of Justice on Pennsylvania Avenue, 9th Street. It says, Charles J. Bonaparte founded the FBI.